Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, what's up? Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hope you all had a nice Monday night. I did. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins. Came through for me. And you know what? I had a terrible NFL Sunday, but I finished it up by hitting the Texans plus 3.5 on Sunday Night Football. Then I hit the Dolphins money line last night. Still wasn't a great NFL weekend, but to hit the 2 primetime games at the end, I feel like we're heading into Week 11 with some momentum. Call me an optimist. I feel like we're heading in with some momentum. Modai is here for the first time in 2 months, and he's wearing a Gryffindor shirt, so nothing has changed at all. He's wearing a Harry Potter shirt. Hasn't worked in a decade. But Modai just told us that he spent Friday at Super Nintendo World. If you're wondering why he's not on giving us bets, that's why. He's at Super Nintendo World. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Yeah, first of all, Friday is not my day to come on the show, so I wouldn't have come on here anyways. Second of all, I posted that on Twitter, so I'm not hiding behind anything. Third of all, I'm not going to apologize for enjoying my life and traveling. And fourth of all, the Gryffindor shirt probably just makes my bets even better for tonight. So no, I'm feeling good.
Wow. Someone keep his record in Harry Potter clothing and apparel.
Someone should have like a shirt selection where like the Naruto shirt, we'll track those. It's a good idea.
There was somebody that was tracking my win rate via team that I was wearing. Yeah, he hasn't been around in like a year, though. He was here like last fall. Real quick, this came in the mail about 12 minutes ago.
Let's
For
go.
those of you
Congrats,
can see,
man.
we're in here. I don't know if you can see
I don't celebrate YouTube accomplishments. So.
This guy.
All right. Let's talk NBA basketball. I have 2 bets down. I got cooked by the injury report in both of them. So an injury happened against me in both of my bets from last night. But we'll go through it. There's a couple other bets I'm considering. Would like to hear your guys' thoughts. This game is not one of them. I thought about betting the Magic last night at 7. Didn't get there. Now that it's at 8.5, definitely can't get there. I don't trust Charlotte to consistently score points in any game, let alone on the road in Orlando where they play better. They play solid defense. So, I mean, I also looked at an under here, 212.5. That's rough. So you could just put the Magic up for me, but there's no chance I'm laying 8.5 here with the Magic team. I don't even fully trust. I do like them at home. I do like them as home favorites, and I really am not a fan of this Charlotte team. I don't think they're very good, at least not until they get one of their bigs back from injury. So Magic are pass for me here. YouCapper, you have anything for this one?
I would also lean towards the Magic side. I don't know if it was on this show or not, but I was saying that the Magic, their first 3 games without Banchero, they played against the Cavs, the Mavs, and the Thunder, and all obviously they're way better defensively when they're all healthy. I know Thunder's missing Chet, Mavs missing a couple bigs recently, but during those games they were completely healthy, so they were going to struggle against those teams without Banchero. But now you see how they do against these lower tier teams. They kind of dominated against them. I do think that the Hornets, even while they're injured a little bit here, they're still better than the teams like the Wizards and the Blazers, in my opinion. I think they're just one tier above them with their current roster makeup. But I think they really rely on their defense, so I could see why the under could be a way to go. Maybe a team total under on the Hornets side with Bridges out. Hornets, I mentioned they're dealing with a bunch of injuries, overtime game as well. They have covered 3 straight, but are 8-2 to the under. I think the way to go, if I was to bet this one, was specifically the first half under, though. Magic 7-4 to the under in the first half, also 2 and under in the first half when they're playing the first leg of back-to-back games. So they try to limit their minutes in the beginning if they need to.
All right, so it looks like you lean towards the same. You're looking at it kind of similarly as me. First half under 106.5. Modai?
Yeah, I don't have an official bet in this one. The one I put down was LaMelo Ball under 27.5 points. It's just fading his absurd 3-point volume. Like, he shot 18 3-pointers in each of the last 2 games. So yeah, of course you scored 30 plus points when you're taking that much volume of 3-pointers, but The Magic have the third best defense of guarding the above the break three-pointer. That's literally half of LaMelo Ball's attempts is above the break three-pointer. The Magic also allow the 11th fewest pull-up three-pointers as well. I mean, 11th fewest is closer to the middle of the pack as opposed to one of the best, which is why I ended up just making this a lean. But like those 18 attempts are just going to have to come down. The Magic play good defense. I mean, the way you beat them is the perimeter. So like I get that argument for LaMelo Ball, but I mean, this wasn't making it anywhere close to my ticket, but I'm just going to fade 18 three-point attempts in back-to-back games.
Fading LaMelo, the usage rate has been high, but I get it. Your logic made sense. Let's move on to the next one, Atlanta-Boston. If you haven't seen the Hawks injury report for this game, don't look. It's a violent sight. Everyone's out. I mean, Capella's playing. Jalen Johnson is playing. There's no Trae Young in this game. There's no Bogdanovich. I mean, they have so many pieces out.
No DeAndre Hunter.
Oh, yeah, no DeAndre Hunter. I think they've got 8 names listed out for this game. So the Hawks are just a crime scene right now on the road in Boston. I get why the line's 15. I will say, what do we know about this Hawks team, right? They play a million miles an hour. They can score. They play no defense, right? That's what we all have come to understand about this Atlanta Hawks team. I will say with Dyson Daniels at the 1, getting a lot of those minutes at the 1 instead of Trae Young, I do think that bumps the Hawks' overall defensive rating up a bit. So I don't know. I'm not even going to say anything because I'm not betting this trash. Do you guys have anything?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So this one was a simple cap for me. You guys mentioned like the injury report, right? We don't know what the Celtics are going to do with their lineup yet. I think Tatum was questionable or so. This is one of those games where the Celtics can rest one or two of their key guys and still kind of win and dominate this game. They moved the total a bunch. I think it was like 230 something, and then they moved it down to 222, I believe, or around there. And what that does is also decrease the Celtics team total. And I think that if we get some key players out on the Celtics side, you see more Pritchard, we see more pace up on the Celtics side, right? And also the incentive to win by margin is another thing to bring into these games. And I think this is one game where I think the Celtics, we see what Pritchard does in these ending of games where the line is like a 7 or an 8 and he hits a 3 for no reason or whatever it might be, and they get up and over that number to cover, right? This is something I could see them doing again. I think that their team total at 119 is a little bit too low with the situation and all that stuff too. So this is actually one of the 2 bets that I took. The Celtics team total over 119.
Boston team total over 119. Okay. Yeah. Matthew?
This is another one that was an official bet for me. So I did put this out on my own. I got a better price. So right now it's Clint Capella under 18.5 points plus rebounds, minus 120. People that watch my YouTube channel, I got it at 19.5. I would still take it under 18.5. This is just a terrible matchup for Clint Capella. Not even if Trae Young was playing, I would be on this under. With Trae Young out, I just don't know how he's going to score. Like the majority of his points come as the roll man on a pick and roll. Not only is there no Trae Young, but the Celtics give up the 4th fewest points to pick and roll man. It's like the way the Celtics play defense, you beat them with like a pull-up guard running the pick and roll. They don't really allow anything to the roll man themselves. And according to props.cash, they're the worst matchup for center point props, literally number 1. And the way the Celtics play offense, they shoot a bunch of jump shots. That limits rebound chances for centers, right? Like the Celtics take the 4th fewest shot attempts in the restricted area. You miss in the restricted area, that more often than not, that's going to be a rebound for the center because it's just closer to the basket. So them shooting a bunch of jump shots and not a lot of shots around the rim limits rebound chances for centers. With that thought in mind, they're allowing they're also the worst matchup for center rebound props as well. So according to props.cash, they are literally the worst matchup for center point and rebound props. And like, even though I get the Hawks are banged up, but like the Celtics play 5 out, he could just get played off the floor. Like Onyeka Okongwu is a way, way better matchup for the Celtics than Clint Capella. Last time these 2 teams played, he played 17 minutes. He scored 2 points. He had 9 rebound chances and only 5 actual rebounds. I get why like the odds have just been plummeting on him, but I would still take it at under 18.5 at minus 120.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which I think is an interesting one. Heat Pistons catching 1.5 points at home. Now, with Jimmy Butler out, obviously, there's some injuries on the Pistons side as well. Duren's questionable, I believe. So Miami's not the only one dealing with an injury. But in my opinion, based on what we've seen the last handful of games, based on what we've seen this season, the wrong team's favored. But hold on, let me finish. Based on what we've seen this season, I mean, Detroit's playing some really good defense, man. We're talking about 4 games in a row where they posted a defensive rating of under 107. They're playing specifically great defense on the perimeter against the three-point shot. The three-point shot has pretty much been the only aspect of the Heat offense that has been somewhat respectable over the last handful of games. So you go into Detroit against a Pistons perimeter. I'm actually was leaning towards under. There should be a graphic because there's an end to this. So the Pistons have been defending the perimeter well. Shooting the three-point shot is basically the only respectable quality of the Heat offense recently. The first game they played against Minnesota without Jimmy Butler, they were terrible offensively. So I don't trust the Heat offense at all. Pistons have been playing good defense at home, catching points. How do we not take the Pistons? Here's why I can't take the Pistons. This is a cup game, and in a game like this, the way I feel about the Miami Heat is trying to pick and choose when we're going to see their best fastball, because we know their best fastball is better than the average fastball they throw. So if Miami wants this one, I feel like they're more talented and they can take it if they want it. So I can't bet the Pistons because I have a feeling Miami wants this one. And like I said, I think they're talented enough where if they want it, they could take it. It's against the Pistons at a short line. That's why I can't take Detroit, even though in my opinion, the numbers indicate that the Pistons should probably be laying 2.5 points here. The reason I'd go under is both teams are capable of playing great defense. The Pistons have been playing great defense. I don't trust either offense, and both teams have been playing relatively slow paces as well. So my pick for this game would be the under. I'm all over the place. I could see a good good logic supporting a Pistons bet. And I could see if you're betting Miami for the Cup game, you think they're going to come out and give us their best effort. I could see that as well.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, obviously cases for both sides. I also lean towards the under. The only reason why I don't take it now is because I already missed the best of the number, and I hate taking like the worst number, right? I looked at what you mentioned Jimmy Butler out. I looked at how the Heat did without Jimmy, but Tyler Herro in since 2022. 23-12 to the under. I looked at the road favorite situation. They are 2-0 ATS this season as road favorites, but when in that situation where there's no Jimmy, but Herro is in, they lost both of those outright as road favorites. Both games went under by a significant margin as well. Then you look towards the Pistons side. They've been an under team this season as well. 8-3 to the under, 2-0 to the under. Our first leg of back-to-back games. I think they're playing Milwaukee tomorrow. Both offenses really struggling. Both slow-paced teams. It all just makes sense that the under is the way to go. It's just at the 214 or whatever it is right now. They could potentially sneak over. But yeah, if I was able to get the 219, I would have ran to the window on the under.
Modi?
Yeah, another one that I gave out on my own. It's Jalen Duren over. So I got over 9.5 rebounds. Right now, you really can't get that anymore unless you want to play minus 135. So you can get over 10.5 at plus 105 last I checked, which I would still take at the plus 105 number. I get that he's questionable, but if he gets ruled out, then we just get our money back and there's no harm, no foul there. This is just a system play. Like rebound props against the Heat have been cashing all year. They've allowed the most rebounds to centers in the NBA. And again, according to props.cash, the third best matchup specifically for center rebound props. And if you look through their game log, I mean, every starting center against them gets at least a 10 plus number that I took, and even the 11 number if you go through it. And most of them, like the number or the players that I'm going to give out, only one of them didn't hit their over. Like Rudy Gobert, 13 rebounds last game, over under was 11.5. Jokic had 11 rebounds. He hit the under. His over under was like 13.5. So he's the only one that went under. But like Yusuf Nurkic, 18 rebounds. His over under was 10.5. Sabonis, 16 rebounds. His over under was 13.5. Karl Anthony Towns, same thing, 13 rebounds, over under of 10.5. In this exact matchup we saw at the end of October, Jalen Duren got 11 rebounds. His over-under was 10.5, so hit the over, got 11 rebounds. And in that same game, Pistons backup center, Isaiah Stewart, had 15 rebounds as well on a much lower over-under. So if that just flips even a little bit to Duren, who played more minutes, like his stealing potential is there to go way over. Obviously, the risk here is that he missed 6 days with the ankle injury, slight ankle sprain. He's only played over 30 minutes once this year, so we don't really need a ton of playing time for him to get 11 rebounds. Like last game he played before the injury, 14 rebounds in 23.9 minutes. He could easily do that again against the Heat. So yeah, that's where I went.
Yeah, I mean, if I knew Duren was going to play, I would be a little more tempted to look at the Pistons. But with him questionable, that's the it makes it tough because the Pistons have been rebounding well. It's been one of the better aspects of their team. So let's move on to the next game. Knicks, Sixers. This is one of the ones I got hit by the injury bug. I took the Sixers money line last night. Didn't realize Maxey wasn't playing. I still like the Sixers. I think they win outright even without Maxey. Obviously, A, I could have got a better number today. And B, I don't know if I actually play the money line. You know what? I probably still would. Even if I knew Maxey was out, I just would have got the better number. It's just a play on the spot. Obviously, if we look at the numbers that we've seen from the last handful of games, the Knicks have been the significantly better team simply because Philadelphia has been one of the worst basketball teams in the league so far. But in my opinion, this is just a perfect spot for Philadelphia. They need this one badly. I mean, this is going to be huge. This is like a pivotal point. Vibes are down as far as 76ers fans go right now with all the drama with Embiid and all the shit they've been through this season. Now they got Embiid back. Granted, he's on minutes restriction, but he's going to be back on the floor against their rival, the team that eliminated them from the playoffs last year in front of their home fans. And if you look at the Sixers schedule, after the Knicks, they've got Cleveland, at Orlando, at Miami. Shit could get ugly quick if they drop this one at home. I mean, you're going to have Sixers fans start bailing on the season if they lose this one with Embiid back against the Knicks, a team they hate losing to. Trust me, they hate losing to the Knicks. So I'm talking about this is game 7 for Philly. They need this one because if they don't take this one, they most likely lose to Cleveland again tomorrow. And all of a sudden, it's a slippery slope where Philly could be sitting at 2-10. Or whatever the hell their record would be. So they need this one badly in front of their home fans. The Knicks haven't been playing all that great anyway. It's not like the Knicks are some unstoppable force. I think we're going to see the best fastball Philadelphia has in the tank tonight to win this one in front of their home fans. So I'm on Philly money line.
Yeah, I don't completely disagree, but at the same time, I don't agree that it's a 76er spot. They're off an OT game. First game of back-to-back games. The Cleveland game tomorrow is much more important to Philly than Chicago is to New York tomorrow. Obviously, the first game of back-to-back for the Knicks. I think one thing that is against the Knicks is that they're traveling for the 7th straight game, so that there could be that fatigue on their side. But a lot of that stuff, to me, with Maxey being out and Embiid coming back for the first game, obviously minutes restriction or whatever it might be, I think what it is for me is the over. I think the over is the way to go here. They're going to be much more efficient in the paint. I don't know if you saw that number of what Cat is allowing in the paint defensively. I think he's allowing opponents to shoot like 90% within the paint. So their interior defense right now is non-existent without Mitchell Robinson. Their pace of play, both teams are very slow pace of play. So I think a lot of people are going to run to the window to the under because of the pace. But efficiency is going to step up because if you look at effective field goal percentage allowed for both the Knicks and the Sixers, both bottom 5 in the league, and you bring an efficient scorer like Embiid into play, whether it's 20 minutes or not, you're going to score a little bit more. And the number at where it's at right now, 211, they could sneak over this pretty easily. So as far as offensive efficiency, I think that's the way to go here is just take the over because they over adjusted on the total in my book.
Modi?
Yeah, I didn't actually bet this one. There are two kind of plays that I like. One of them is Embiid over 6.5 first quarter points. I get that he's not going to play the whole first quarter, which he normally does, but 6.5 is a super low number for Embiid, who, like, if you want to say that he's going to be out of shape, that's fine. That'll affect him in the second half as opposed to the first quarter. Like he's had games where he scored 15 points, not playing the entire first quarter. He's historically crushed Karl Anthony Towns. Granted, different team, different situation. I get it. Last 4 games, he's played Cat and scored 30 points. Even going back farther than that, before Rudy Gobert got there, he's completely dominated the Karl Anthony Towns matchup. I didn't want to bet it because there's just too much uncertainty with his first game back. I also, on the other side, like Karl Anthony Towns to hit 3 3-pointers. That's like plus 170 at FanDuel. Embiid's not going to want to guard him on the perimeter. Like the easiest way to take advantage of Embiid playing is to make him guard space, and he's going to want to stay closer to the paint. He'll probably leave him open unless they switch up the matchups and they don't put Embiid on Karl Anthony Towns, like they put like Ubaselli on him or something. That could obviously be a wrench in that, but yeah, I didn't bet either of these. If it's a TNT game, so people are going to want to watch it. So that's the 2 ways I would go. If you're going to play them, put a half unit on each of them. They're both plus money, so you just hit one and you're in the green. But yeah, that's where I went. That's where I would go, I should say.
To the people in the comments about the Maxey thing, I made it pretty clear when the NBA started that I'm only half foot into the NBA. College football takes a lot of time. Last year, we weren't even covering NBA at this time, and people complained. So I tried to include NBA and bring on people that are covering it. But I made it very clear, and you can see all my bets are super small. I made it clear when the season started. I don't start taking NBA seriously until after college football regular season ends, after Thanksgiving weekend. So I was doing what you guys asked for. Anyway, move on to the next one. Toronto, Milwaukee. Ronald, do you see that the Raptors have run 3 games with a super slow pace?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
I mean, I think it has to do with, so I talked about the last game, right? The Knicks with their 7 straight game with travel.
Whoa.
For the Raptors, and so they started to slow down their pace as well. Also, I think they did something with their rotation. I can't pinpoint it, but they did something with the rotation where they did slow down their offense a little bit. They tried to do a little bit more on to run a few more offensive sets. And I think that kind of comes into play with their slower pace. But Lillard being out, since I'm going, I'm just going to continue if that's cool with you, Kyle. Yeah. Lillard being out, I think that's going to help the Bucks offense slow down as well. They're going to run through Giannis. This is the first. I talked about this on Ski Show when you were mentioning earlier you were watching it, but this is the first winnable game since that interview when he called out the rest of his team, and a lot of it I think he was really calling them out on the defensive side of the ball. So with Lillard out, that's also going to step up the defensive rating for the Milwaukee side. You mentioned how the Raptors are struggling on the offensive side of the ball, right? 107, 103, 103 in the last 3 games. To me, a lot of things are really pointing towards the Bucks showing up defensively, slower pace game on both sides. Raptors team total under was the way I was looking on this one.
Raptors team total under. That actually falls in line with what I was thinking as well, because I was considering an under here at 225.5. It just felt crazy to take an under in a Raptors Bucks games based on what I know about the teams. I mean, I feel like if this game was a week ago, this total would have been 233.5. So it felt weird considering that, but that's what I was considering as an under. I was too scared to do it. Raptors team total under. I cashed a Raptors team total under bet earlier in this season too. I can get with that. Moda?
Yeah, I want to wait and see if Quickly plays. If he's out, I'm taking Dick, and I'm riding Dick hard if Quickly's out.
Shit. Jeez. Did you just say that?
Say what? But the books don't even have odds out for him yet. I'd be shocked if Quickly plays because he's like banged up his elbow and he's already been hurt all year. And it's a great matchup for Grady Dick, who you want to target the Bucks with pull up shooters from 3-point range and from not necessarily from mid range as much this year, but more so pull up 3-pointers and above the break 3-pointers. That leans Grady Dick. So that's where I'd go. But they don't have odds out for him yet, so it's impossible to back.
All right. Thanks for that, Matt. Let's move on to the next one, which is Phoenix, Utah. Let's go to game number 2. My second bet that also got hit with injuries. I have Jazz money line. Walker Kessler's out. And I don't know if there was an error on RotoWire, but he was not on the injury report last night. So I have Jazz money line here. Love betting the Jazz at home. Suns without Durant. Possibly without Nurkic. And if Nurkic doesn't play, I mean, Jazz should be able to dominate on the boards. God, I wish Walker Kessler was playing, man. He's a rebounding machine. Obviously, if now that Kessler's out, if Nurkic ends up playing, probably not a great bet. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns take an early lead and the Jazz are able to fight their way back into it with the altitude. You could say the Suns are on a back-to-back, but I would imagine they take these midseason cup games pretty seriously. So I'm on the Jazz money line. I don't love it. That's the bet I placed.
Yeah, this one's a pretty bad spot for the Suns, right? They're off a road game loss in OT to the Kings. First leg of back-to-back games. Then they face the Kings again tomorrow, right? So I don't see how they could be fully focused on this Jazz team. But you did mention Walker Kessler being out. The Jazz just not being a great team right now overall. There's probably some type of over-adjustment because of the situation the Suns are in. Then the over-adjustment with KD being out. It seems like the line, they haven't been covering games that they've been winning either, for the Sun side. It's just too close to call for me as far as from a spread perspective. But I do think that the Suns make some adjustments in this specific situation to really rely on their defense, because their offensive rating is going to come down without KD, right? Their pace of play is going to come down because of their schedule spot, right? Off OT, first game of the back-to-back. So I think that the under might be the best way to go here. I looked at one of the situations that they're in today, right? I did mention road favorite, off an OT loss with the first leg of back-to-back games, 28, 14, and 1 to the under over the last several years. So it kind of points in that direction as well. I would look towards the under here. but again, like we've lost so much value on that total. I think he opened at like 234 or something like that, or 232. We're seeing 226 or something like that. So I make it a habit of not betting games where I'm taking the worst line.
Yeah. Mona?
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson, 15 plus points. You can get that at plus 130. It's kind of like the Suns, the way they play defense now that they have Mike Budenholzer is very easy to analyze. They don't give up much on the 3-point line. They don't give up much corner three as well. They try not to give up much around the rim, but they will let you walk into mid-range shots. You look at them, they give up the most mid-range, the most pull-ups, the most pull-up 2-pointers specifically. That's exactly how Jordan Clarkson scores for the Jazz. He takes the most pull-up shots on the Jazz, the most pull-up 2-pointers, the most mid-range on the Jazz. He scores the most points out of the pick and roll for the Jazz. It just lines up perfectly for Jordan Clarkson. 15 plus, he's hit it, I think, in 2 straight games. I forgot to write that down on my notes, but I believe that's what I remember. And I love the role because like his 6-man role is just to score. Like you're not going to play defense, just 20 minutes of microwave score. Perfect matchup against the Suns. So that's where I went.
And the comments are still roasting you for the Grady Dick comment before.
Some homophobes here in the comments. My gosh.
I mean, interesting choice of phrasing. let's go to the next game.
It's like they've never heard a dick joke before.
That was a violent one, though.
Some people like to toe the line, others like to throttle it. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next game. All right, Minnesota, Portland. I'm good. I have no idea.
Nothing on this one?
No, not even a thought.
This is the second game that I played. So I told you, I mentioned I only bet 2 games. This was the second one. So I did take the Wolves. I was on them earlier this season when they played each other. The Wolves smashed. This is just a clear spot to me where the Wolves are just clearly the better team offensively and defensively. I think that the biggest gap for me is the offensive efficiency between the two teams, specifically the above the break three, which is what the Wolves really rely on heavily. And the Blazers are one of the worst teams at defending it. That's going to be what their advantage is. I also looked at the current situation that they're in. The road team, when both teams are on the first leg of back-to-back games, and they play each other the next game, right? The familiarity between the two teams, 14-3-1 ATS. And if the road team is favored like Minnesota is today, 8-1-1 ATS over the last several years. It's not a huge sample size because it doesn't happen often. But in this situation, road teams that are favored for a huge reason, especially when they have the familiarity that they have, having played each other earlier on in the season already. I don't think the Blazers match up well with this team at all, even if they are getting healthier or whatever. And this is one of the games this today that don't have a huge injury report manipulation, whatever you want to call it, especially on the Wolves side. So fully healthy, incentive to win by margin. Those are huge things for me to back on the Wolves -8.5.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Juju said in the comments that obviously the point differentials matter in these games for the cup standings, right? Like there's the incentive to keep your starters in, even if you're up 13, 14 points with a couple of minutes left or whatever, because the point differential matters in the seeding for that. Modi?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards over 8.5 first quarter points, plus 100 odds. It's a high number. I get it, needing to score 9 points, but he plays the entire first quarter, like 7 straight games where he's played the entire first quarter. So as long as he doesn't get hurt or get in early foul trouble, you can probably expect that again. He averages just under 7 field goal attempts in the first quarter, just above 4 3-point attempts in the first quarter. So that type of volume, you can easily see him getting to 9 points. You look at the 8 games in which he's played the entire first quarter this year, there's only 2 times where he didn't. He's gone over 8.5 points in 4 of the 8 games in which he, again, played all 12. 2 of the games he went under, he had exactly 8, which we'd get the hook. That would suck. That happens. Another game he scored exactly 7. So like 3 of the 4 games, he was just 1 bucket away from getting to 9 points, which like I get that the lower these numbers go, the more you're going to get hooked, just to kind of show you what the floor is like. And only one time he scored fewer than 7 points. That was the most recent game he played against the Miami Heat. Much tougher defense than the Blazers. And he took 9 attempts in the first quarter. He just couldn't make anything. But if like you're telling me he's going to put up 9 shots, I'll gladly take him to get 9 points. He shot 2 of 9 in the first quarter, 8 of 24 overall. So just an off game for Anthony Edwards. Perfect matchup after that. The Portland team that can't guard the 3-point line. He's attempting a ton of 3-pointers, like 14 against them last time, scored 37 points. Last time he played the Blazers, which was like 2 games ago, he went over the 8.5 number. And like the position stuff can be a little bit nebulous, but if you trust with props.cash, how they say shooting guards, second best matchup for shooting guard point props, and the Blazers give up the 5th most points to shooting guards. That makes sense when you give up a ton of 3-pointers. So after a loss to the Heat, after a game in which he didn't shoot well, I'm expecting Anthony Edwards to come out firing, and he's going to play all 12 minutes. So
Modai loves these first quarter bets, man. He hits them too. Anthony Edwards over 8.5 first quarter points. All right, let's move on to the next game, which is Dallas Golden State. I wanted to bet Dallas here. I wish I knew. Is there any confirmation on Derek Lively yet?
I thought he was out.
Oh, is he out? He was questionable when I looked. It still says questionable.
Okay.
I still see questionable.
If I knew Derek Lively was playing, I'd take Dallas money line here. Love betting Dallas on the road. Love betting as road dogs. Golden State much better on the road last year. Excellent on the road so far this year. Now we get them at home favorites, which would be dating back to last year the best time to fade them. So yeah, I would love to take Dallas, take the money line here. This will be a fun one to watch. Maybe a little bit of gambling involved. Just take the plus money team and have fun and watch it. But I need Lively out there for me to consider that. So you could put Dallas up there for me.
It's funny you bring up Lively. I literally have a autograph card of Derek Lively right in front of me.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. But so this one, I stayed off of it just because of the whole emotional part of it, right? Clay coming back. I do think that the Warriors are the better team overall, especially with the Mavs not being fully healthy. But this also could be somewhat of a letdown spot, right? The Warriors took care of business against OKC on the road as dogs. And, I think one way that I would actually take this one, though, I think I would play the Warriors first half. I think Warriors have been one of the better first half teams ATS this season, 8-2. Mavs 4-6 in the first half ATS. But I think what leads me to the whole first half look is they're gonna play like a tribute video for Clay. There's gonna be some emotional aspect of it. I think he's gonna try and overdo it early and then kind of get some nerves out of the way. Then the second half they get into some type of rhythm. I want to stay away from that part in the second half and just focus on. I think the Mavs really struggling early to put things together. Right, they're gonna force feed Clay the ball. They're gonna do all these things and then they eventually get their offense rolling in the second half. So I would look at that more so than the full game. Also, one other thing that I like on the Warriors side, they play strong defense to start out the game. This season, opponents in the first half, 9-1 to their team total under. So they really focus on the defensive side of the ball to start out the games so far this season. So if I was to bet anything, the first half Warriors ATS.
Bodai?
Sorry. So I took Klay Thompson 4+ made 3-pointers. Some interesting line movement here. When this is one that I did put out on my own. I got it at plus 140. Then I moved up to plus 150, which is when I sent it over. And I just checked because I was curious. It's not back down to plus 140. That's at FanDuel. I would obviously still play plus 140. That's what I got. This just meets a bunch of different kind of data points that I look for. Number one, if I'm backing a 3-point shooter, it's someone that like is still shooting the volume, but hasn't shot well recently. And that's exactly what we're getting with Klay Thompson. He made at least 4 3-pointers in the first 3 games of the season. Since then, he's only done it in one of his last 7 games. Last 2 games alone, he shot a combined 1 of 13 from 3-point range. And like, I get it. This isn't the Klay that we remember back in his prime, but he can still shoot. And again, he started off the year on fire. So to me, that just makes me want to buy back in on his 3-point prop, as that's just how 3-point shooting goes in the NBA. And this is a really good matchup against the Warriors. The way they play defense, they don't limit any pull-up 3-point opportunities. Like, that's the 3rd fewest pull-up 3-point attempts allowed in the NBA. Not a Luka game, not a Kyrie game, at least from 3-point range. But on the flip side, they allow the 3rd most catch and shoot 3-point attempts in the NBA. Again, that's how they play defense. Klay Thompson, obviously everybody knows this, shoots a ton of catch and shoot 3-pointers. He's attempted the second most in the NBA. He's made the third most. And on a related note to kind of catch and shoot is like, this is directly correlated, but the Warriors allow the third most points via spot up as well, which obviously that's correlated to catch and shoot types of players. So it's a good matchup for Klay's 3-point prop. We get like what I like to call fade recent results with this jumper because he's been shooting, he just hasn't shooting well. And if you put any stock into the revenge narrative, if that just gets him one more 3-pointer than normal, that could be the one to get him from 3 to 4. So I don't normally put a ton into like revenge stuff because there's no way to track that. It's just what you feel. But if he just makes one more because he's playing back in the Bay Area, that could get him from 3 to 4. And for the plus 140 price is what it's now at. I thought that's pretty solid. So that's where I went.
So Klay Thompson on his return. Okay. And Golden State first half. All right, you want to clear the pick so they can see these guys' names? You guys want to real quick tell the people where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, you could just follow me on X right there. You could also, I haven't been doing my show, but at some point I'm gonna bring it back. The Let's Cap show on YouTube. Schedule's been pretty crazy recently, but I think I'll be back tomorrow, right, Kyle? I'll be back on here tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So you could just catch me here.
Yeah. So yeah, Ron will be on again tomorrow. Oh, you both will be on again tomorrow, actually. Modi?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You see on the handle here at Jedi Modi. Also, the same thing on YouTube. So I put out daily NBA stuff, NFL stuff for Monday, Thursday, Sunday, and yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Jedi Modi if you found me compelling. If you like dick jokes, then you know where to go.
Yeah, if you found them compelling, you know where to find this stuff when he's not on vacation.
Correct. I'm gone next week. So
are you really gone next week?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, bro, I was about to lose it. Like again?
Boss man was not happy.
All right, let's do college football. Guys, have a good night.
All right, see you, gentlemen.
Snooky. All right. As you can see, Prop Beaver's producing again.
Andy's normal name yesterday.
Yeah, because I was producing it, so it actually just said Andy. All right, college football. Andy, what did you think about what I said in this one? I was leaning towards the under. I think it was 53.5 last night when we made that video. I think Central Michigan is able to run the ball a little bit. And I think running the ball a little bit helps the case for an under because A, it chews the clock. B, what do you want if you're looking for an under? You don't just want stops. You want about 2 or 3 first downs and then a stop. You want them to move the ball to about midfield and then punt. That's what you want if you're looking for an under. 3 first downs, punt. 3 first downs, punt. 3 first downs, punt. That's what you're looking for. And I think that's perfect. It's exactly what I'm expecting to see from Central Michigan here offensively. I think they are able to move the chains a little bit against this Toledo defensive front. This is a team that can run the ball. The problem is they're so one-dimensional. Even if Glasser does end up starting at quarterback. If you don't know who Glasser is, so last week against Bowling Green, they started Tyler Jefferson, who is their QB3. Burt Emanuel got hurt, and Labas got hurt. So Central Michigan down to their third quarterback on the depth chart because of injuries. Freshman Tyler Jefferson. Last week against Bowling Green, he had 6 passing yards in the fourth quarter. 6. He had 6 passing yards in the fourth quarter. They made the quarterback switch over to the other freshman, Gasser, who actually made some throws in the bad weather. And he actually drove down the field, scored a touchdown to give me my backdoor cover of Central Michigan plus 14. So based on what we saw last week, I think Gasser will be starting at quarterback, but that doesn't mean Central Michigan's going to all of a sudden have a passing attack. Their offense is too one-dimensional to count on them cashing in these drives. So I think they'll be able to move the chains, but I very seriously doubt we're going to see them put it in the end zone more than once or twice. And on the other side of the ball, look, what are your thoughts on the Toledo offense, Andy?
I don't trust it enough to like touchdowns or an over here. Their offense isn't very good. I get Central Michigan's defense is god-awful, and that's fine. But like, it's not like they're going up against the best defenses in the country and not scoring. They're going up against MAC defenses. Some are good, some are bad, and they're just kind of being consistently meh. I don't really expect them to do a lot here. So if you're looking at the total, I'd be on the under, and I'd certainly be I would I would take the 14.5 here with Central Michigan because like I don't think this offense is good enough to cover 2 touchdowns, and you're basically asking for 2 touchdowns and a field goal at this point. So yeah, I feel very similarly to you. I don't really see how either of these teams gets to scoring to the point where this gets over 52. I thought the number was, when I first looked at it, I thought it was a joke, but it's not. The number is 52 for a MAC game. That just feels weird. So yeah, if it was a total, I'd be on the under, and I'd also the 2 touchdowns. I think that's crazy to me. This is not a game that feels like a 2 touchdown cover.
Yeah, well, I actually don't agree with that. I'm not going to be on Central Michigan. I really think they're going to struggle to score. I probably would lean under, or maybe Central Michigan team total under, which is probably at like 17.5. But this is just, I'm not going to bet this game. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah. You could just put under up, but it's Central Michigan team total under, maybe. I don't know. Let's go to the next one. Ball State Buffalo got a couple points of CLV here. So I did bet this game, and I like my bet. Weather's supposed to be okay in Buffalo, right? Nothing's changed on that front. It was supposed to be okay when I looked yesterday.
No weather issues today.
No weather issues on a Wednesday night max slate. You don't say that very often. There's some ugly weather this time of year in these MAC games. So the weather's supposed to be okay, and that's all I needed to hear, because both of these offenses are actually following similar patterns. You look at the first 4 or 5 games from both of these teams, looking like 2 of the worst offenses in the country. Look at the last handful of games. Both of these teams seem to be figuring it out offensively. That kid, I think it's Agbana for Buffalo, the quarterback. He's got really efficient passing numbers. Buffalo can also run it. And Samanza, the quarterback for Ball State's got a passing attack now. And it's not just like, oh, he showed up for one game. They're consistently throwing the ball. In fact, last week against Miami of Ohio in the rain, Miami of Ohio, in case you don't follow MAC football, probably the best defense in the conference. Samanza was making throws, and Ball State covered that number. So I trust both of these offenses, and both of these defenses are pretty awful. So I got this at, you can't get that number anymore. I think it's at 55.5 now. This is the bet I got, but I'd still take the over at 55. I think we're going to see a classic Wednesday night Maction shootout. Like I think I got a good bet here on the over. I also was leaning towards Ball State at +4.5, just because in my opinion, I don't think either team should be favored by more than a field goal. I do understand why Buffalo's favored in the game. I would have it more at 2.5. But I didn't bet Ball State. I just bet the over.
Yeah, I'd be on Ball State. I think there's some 3.5s now. As long as it's over a field goal, I'd take Ball State. I will give Buffalo credit. They've been way better than I think anybody thought they'd be. But a lot of their wins are a little bit not fraudulent, but their wins this year are Lafayette, UMass. Lafayette's an FCS school. UMass is literally actually the second worst, because Kent State's really bad. UMass is one of the worst teams in FCS. They also beat Northern Illinois. If you remember, Northern Illinois, the last game they had played before that was Notre Dame, so that was a clear letdown spot. So I mean, right there, those are their first 3 wins, and since then they've beaten Toledo and Akron. They're not beating good teams, and I'm by no means am I calling Ball State a good team. But when you're laying more than a field goal in this type of game, where I think the other team will also be able to score, I really like Ball State here, because not only in a lot of these games, Buffalo was covering or winning these games as underdogs. Now they're favored to win the game, and that's a little bit different now. So, yeah, I don't think that they're as bad as we thought, but I also think we're a little bit crazy with them laying against anybody. I know Ball State's not a good team, but Ball State's probably equal to better than most of the teams that they've beaten.
So I said Wednesday. It's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. You know why? I literally just finished recording the Wednesday Night Mac video like seconds before we went live. So I literally was just talking Wednesday. It's Tuesday today. The video I'm about to upload after is for the Wednesday games. That's why I got confused. Next game. Don't laugh. Just move. Just switch to the next game, please. Just switch to the next game.
I'm laughing at Robert Thomas-Shout's comment that says the mommy shit. There's some guy that has been commenting about his mom the entire time.
Should we mute him? What is he saying? Is it inappropriate?
No, it's just insane. Anyways.
So much.
I mean, I can deal with insane. It's inappropriate.
That's why I'm letting it be.
As long as he's not offending anybody.
That's why I'm letting it be. It's just fucking
guy misses
insane.
his mom.
All right, college basketball. Whew.
No, we got another game.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
So another game where we're going to be looking at good weather, and if this is under 10, it's got to be Bowling Green. I didn't bet this one, but I kind of want to. Kind of wish I bet it. I think it was at 8, Andy, last night when we made that video. So it's moved towards Bowling Green as well. I think this is a little bit of a buy low spot on Bowling Green's offense. Are some people thinking that Bowling Green's offense isn't that great because of what they saw last week? In that the weather was awful, and they're an offense that wants to throw the ball. Of course it looked a little off. And by the way, they were still moving the ball pretty easily. They got held to some field goals at the end of those drives against Central Michigan, but they had no problem getting up and down the field. They were Baselak was making throws, even in the shitty weather, against a Western Michigan defense that we just saw Western Michigan's defense make Ethan Hampton look like an elite thrower of the football. In case you haven't been watching Northern Illinois this year, that's been a run-first offense all the way. They've had so many problems with their passing attack this year. Ethan Hampton went 13 of 16, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, passer rating over 204. He has Northern Illinois has really been struggling to throw the ball. He had no problem making throws on Western Michigan. This defense is bad, and Bowling Green, Connor Baselak should have a big game at home in the good weather throwing the ball. So I like Bowling Green to score points. The reason I haven't bet it, Western Michigan very well might be able to score points right back. That's a very good offense. It's a very good rushing attack. Bowling Green's defense, it's not bad. You can run the ball on them. So I lean towards Bowling Green. I think my favorite bet, like I said last night, would be Bowling Green team total. I think that the number I wanted there I wanted over 33.5. I think it's 34.5 now. Someone in the comments, what's Bowling Green's team total at right now, please? Actually, I could just look it up. What the hell am I doing? Bowling Green's team total. Can you still get a 33.5? I don't think you can. I think they're all gone. 1 second. This is really great content right here. Just take a break while I scroll through the internet. 34.5. You can get a juice 33.5 on Bet Rivers. Nah, mostly 34.5 though. So yeah, I like Bowling Green. That's my angle. I like Bowling Green to score a lot of points. You take that information and do whatever you want. Whether you take the full game total 57.5. I don't know what. I feel like the variance on the Western Michigan side is high. I wouldn't be surprised if this game is 42-40. I wouldn't be surprised if this game is 42-17. I think that just the angle of the game I feel most comfortable with is Bowling Green to score points. So that's how I feel about this one.
So bet I should put on the screen is Bowling Green team total.
Yeah, put that exactly what you have typed. Okay. Put that up, but don't put it in red. Put it in the right.
No,
color.
I'm changing the color. Jesus,
he's gonna change it.
You're acting like I'm not the color.
He's
connoisseur.
weird. Yeah. He's weird with the colors. All right, Andy, do you agree with what I just said?
Yeah, I'm all over Bowling Green here.
You laid it.
They're 2 touchdowns better than Western Michigan. Western Michigan this year defensively, there's been 2 teams. I'm going to say 2 teams that have been unsuccessful throwing the ball against them. Week 1, Tyler Van Dyke in Wisconsin. Although the success rate was pretty good, they didn't have a good game passing. And then it took about 7 or 8 weeks later, they played Kent State and they struggled. Well, Kent State's the worst team in college football, and Wisconsin, that was week 1. Since then, I mean, in every other game, we're talking 12.5 yards per attempt, 10.5, 9. I mean, they're getting thrown all over. And Connor Baselak's coming off 3 or 4 games pretty much where the success rates say he's been pretty good, but they're not actually throwing the ball very well. The stats are not great for this passing attack. So this is a perfect spot for them to show up and just throw all over Western Michigan at home. Just talent-wise, overall, statistically, they're 2 touchdowns better than this team, but I think because they've gone through a little bit of a cold streak, they didn't win their last game by that much. I think this is a good spot for Bowling Green to just run them out of the building. I'm a little worried about Western Michigan scoring, like you said, but I think in this type of game on the road, it's not a great spot for Western Michigan overall.
Yeah, I mean, but they can definitely run the ball, and Bowling Green has shown us that you can definitely run the ball on them. So it's unlikely to think Western Michigan's going to get shut down. The question is, can they keep up? And I don't think they can. So probably should just bet the over 57.5. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Hayden Wolf throws a couple picks in this game. So, all right.
They just have to keep Baselak clean because he's really bad when he's pressured.
But Western Michigan ain't pressuring any. That defense
exactly.
is bad.
Western Michigan's not a team that can pressure. So as long as they keep him clean and they can't pressure, he should be fine.
Ethan Hampton looked like Andrew Luck last week, man. All right, let's go. It's college basketball up next?
Yep.
All right, switch over to college basketball. And you're switching me with Toast for this one, right?
Yes, sir. We're bringing on the Money Muskrat Toast.
So this is what, real quick before you switch me. So this is what we decided we're going to do for college basketball. We had the midnight show where we went through 5 games. We're gonna have college basketball on the main show as well, but we're gonna try to pick a couple different games. So obviously they're gonna go through the two big games again, but they're gonna try to pick a couple other ones that they didn't cover before. So that's the plan. Everyone enjoy your night. Hit me up if you need me in the Discord. I have to run an errand real quick. I'll be back in about an hour. Thank you all for this. Appreciate it, man. Just came in the mail. For those of you that weren't here in the beginning, I appreciate you guys a lot. So I'll see you tomorrow.
I want one.
Finally, some real ball.
You, Andy, everyone's getting theirs in about 2 weeks. I had to order extras.
I was just giving you a hard time, buddy. Andy, how are you today, my friend?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Really good. Look at those Georgia Bulldogs catching 5.5 points of steam, buddy, huh? I bet you missing out on that, huh? Or
I bet it.
I know, because you're a coward. That's okay. I believe in Georgia, even when you don't, Andy. I always have, and I always will.
I'm excited for that game. This will be a great game.
Yeah. Anyway,
Great game,
let's
man.
get it started. I think that we both have the same bet in this game, do we not?
We do.
Didn't you say it? Okay, yeah. So you can get it started with Syracuse and tell them why they're going to kill them.
Yeah, they're gonna blow. I think they're gonna blow Colgate out of the water. You can tell by the line. It's 11.5. Some metric sites have this at 15 points. The difference between these teams, and I think that's closer to what it should be. Syracuse played one game so far. They couldn't hit a 3 to save their lives in that game against Lemoyne. They only beat Lemoyne by 3. That was a bad game overall. Obviously, that's terrible. But this is a great. First of all, they're not going to shoot 18% from 3 again. They're going to hit some threes. They're supposed to be a good 3-point shooting team, so that was surprising. But not only that, they have a significant height advantage over Colgate.
Yeah,
not big at all. And Syracuse is quite big. They have Lampkin from Colorado last year, a couple of other guys sprinkled in. They're still missing, I think, one of the transfers, but I don't think they need him in this game. This simply comes down. This one to me was they cannot shoot 18% from 3 again. They're going to be able to hit threes. If I'm not mistaken, against Drexel, Drexel shot 43% from 3 against Colgate. This is a Colgate team, like I just said, they just lost to Drexel by 17. Now they're going to the I guess it's called the JMA Dome now. But yeah, I think that this is a clear spot where Syracuse just run them out of the building. I mean, they did look bad defensively. I think they'll look better. Colgate's a team that shoots a lot of threes. If their threes aren't falling, there's no shot they can play in this game. So if Syracuse can defend the 3 well while also hitting them, they'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I just don't see. First of all, with Colgate in the shooting, I know their numbers look really good as far as like the guys on their team and their career numbers, but they haven't shown it yet. And now facing a team that's much bigger than them, and I understand that Syracuse kind of got away from the zone at times last year, but still a team that can switch and play man and play zone. I think that really gives them fits here today. Not to mention the fact that on the defensive end, I don't know how Colgate's going to look defensively without Records and Moffitt, or however you say his last name. I'm not for sure, but those two were like really, really big for them last year defensively, and now they're gone. I mean, the Syracuse size at the wings. I mean, this Donnie Freeman kid's a freshman. He's 6'9". He can shoot threes. Jair Davis is a stud. That point guard Carlos is a defensive stopper that's shooting almost 35% from deep. So if he gets going, it's going to be a long night for Colgate. Again, I just think that this is a spot where I don't think Colgate's as good as some people think they might be. I honestly believe that some of the shooting numbers for them are a little bit inflated. And this is not from their first 2 games. It's from their whole careers for people that are listening. But I think they're a little bit inflated. I don't think all 5 of those guys are going to shoot nearly 40% this year. And I think the Syracuse can really expose that. So yeah, I laid it with the orange as well. Next game up, prop Beaver. Oh, the Baylor Bears. Andy, I saw you gave me an emoji with my Baylor minus 15 bet in the Discord. Did you actually have a bet on this game yourself?
I don't think I've bet it yet. I think it could go down. It might go down. I mean, it might go up, honestly, too. But I think they can whip Sam Houston, too. I will say, I like the Sam Houston team. I think they're going to be good down there. They're going to be good in their conference. But you're talking about step down in class. There's no step down bigger than what Baylor's about to do. Baylor started with Gonzaga and then played Arkansas. They looked, I mean, to be fair, they haven't really looked good at all yet. They beat Arkansas. They didn't really look great. And the biggest thing for me in this one is how Sam Houston just won their last game. Sam Houston played Tarleton State, who actually is a competitive program. I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year, but they're not the worst. They beat them 91-62, but they out-rebounded them by 18 rebounds.
They
You're
also
not
shot like
winning against
55%
Baylor.
from deep. So
Yeah,
that's
and
that's not going to happen again.
Those are clear regression spots against a defense in Baylor who obviously didn't look great against Gonzaga. That's Gonzaga. Gonzaga is probably one of the three best teams in the nation, and they look decent against Arkansas, a really talented team. They're going to defend the three better than Tarleton did. Clearly, they're going to rebound better than Tarleton, and takes you back to the Nevada game. That Sam Houston. I actually had Sam Houston in that game. They were supposed to. I had him covering 8.5. They lost by 12. So it's not. They didn't get blown out by Nevada, but they didn't look great in the second half. They were actually winning at halftime. So, I think this is a clear regression spot from their previous games, and especially against a team that Scott Drew usually covers these numbers against bad teams like this, because I mean this is coming off playing the most difficult schedule in college basketball so far. So yeah, clear good spot for Baylor, bad spot for Sam Houston.
Yeah, pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Overall, I mean, Baylor overall on Ken Palm, Baylor's played the sixth hardest schedule, third hardest as far as components wise. It doesn't matter. I mean, playing Gonzaga and Arkansas back to back, one on a neutral, one on the road, whether it's in the kennel or not an easy place to play. And now finally being back home against the Sam Houston State team that I see a lot of people getting love here today. And I mean, I just, again, Andy touched on it as far as the regression spots. The other thing I can say is that the experience factor for Baylor is really huge as well. Baylor, like around top 15 in the nation as far as experience. This Sam Houston State team is a very, very young team. And now they're facing a Baylor team that's kind of like in a get right spot at home, I think. I think they blow the doors off of Sam Houston State. I think this is a 20-point game. I think that Scott Drew, the Revolution, will show everybody that he still has a really good team out here in Baylor. I don't think that I think Arkansas is going to be a little better than people give crowd credit for too this year. So maybe a little bit of me thinks that win was more impressive. I'm also a huge Gonzaga fan, so I know how hard it can be to beat that Gonzaga team in Spokane when they're clicking like that. But we also saw that Gonzaga team look shaky against Arizona State in a sleepy spot Sunday. So again, I think that Baylor rolls here, but we shall see. If Sam Houston State's hitting their shots, maybe, just maybe, but I find it very, very hard to believe that they do.
Someone just said they haven't won by 16 all year. They've played 2 games and
I mean, there is the little brother angle here. I mean,
this
is the Bearcats against the Bears. I mean,
I also think that plays to Baylor as well, because they haven't done anything. And if they were to get punked by their little brother here, that seat might be getting a little hot for Scott. That's a joke.
I heard the Bearcats are bringing out the claws today. That's what I heard.
Universities aren't very far apart.
Next game, the Champions Classic, or at least one of the 2 games in the Champions Classic. Kansas, Sparty.
I think we're both in lockstep. I don't know if I put it in the under. I don't know if I made a graphic for it, but
I played the under as well, but
yeah, I think we're both on the under.
You're Mr. I love Tom Izzo, so why don't you go ahead and go first?
I do love Tom Izzo, but I don't like the neutral. I think neutral site unders are a thing, but that's not my main.
100%.
Not my main,
especially in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I also think Kansas is scoring at such an ungodly amount. That's got to come down at some point, and against a defensive oriented team like Michigan State, I think that it will today. And I also don't really love Michigan State early in the season. Michigan State, and I know it's like made as a joke, January, February, Izzo. That's not a joke. They start to get, they're the best example of a team that finds themselves around December to January. They can start hitting threes. They find their identity. He always takes in new guys, freshmen. They need some time to grow. This is still early in the year. So I would lean not only the under. I would also take Kansas here. I think Kansas just had a line similar to this. I think it might have actually been 6. And they should have covered it. They were blowing UNC out. UNC came back and fought and got hot. I don't see Michigan State doing that. Michigan State's not going to shoot well from 3. They're not going to be able to keep up. A lot of what Michigan State has given up so far, and I know they played Niagara and Monmouth, 2 terrible teams. A lot of what they've given up has been inside. If you look at the shot charts, that's not good. Hunter Dickinson's in there. He's obviously played Michigan State multiple times, so he knows how to get to them. If you're having trouble defending the inside, he's going to score on you. So I like Kansas and the under overall, although Kansas themselves could ruin that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I played Kansas. I played the under as well. It was at 150.5. I actually like the fact that it hasn't moved because I don't see a ton of people betting this under. But as far as Sparty is concerned, Andy touched on it as far as January, February, March. Izzo, part of the reason of that is that his teams are very methodical on offense. It's not like they're getting up and down in pace and trying to score in transition. They're trying to get into their set offense and run their sets and get the looks that they want. Sometimes that takes time. I literally have circled in my notes. It's funny that you had mentioned that. Got to find an offensive identity. That's one of the first things that they're going to have to do. I have a hard time believing that comes to fruition against this Kansas team. That's number 8 in the country right now, with Hunter Dickinson and Harris and KJ Adams, which is probably the best trio in America. I don't need to tell you, if you're watching this part of the show, you don't need me to tell you how good of a coach that Bill Self is, whether it's early in the season or at the end of the season. I think that Sparty will have some success defensively. I think that especially at the center position, I think that their centers can really play defense. They just don't really score a lot. Also, Sparty's really young, and I think that the experience from Kansas plays a little bit of a factor here today. But considering the fact that we're getting a neutral site and we're getting 2 big name teams that are going to be probably taking it slow, considering the circumstances, especially at Madison Square Garden, I played under 150.5 as well. Again, if Sparty is able to start hitting 3 balls and they can't stop Kansas inside, and Hunter Dickinson scores 30 or whatever, and I lose my under, I guess so be it. But I'm more than willing to take my chances off of that. So next game.
Michigan State started 8-5 last year. They had a very slow start last year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to do that again, but I think they are clearly a team that early on in the season grows to be better.
Yeah.
Growers, not showers.
I'm also very curious, really quickly, just to see how Kansas looks in general, because that was to give up that type of run in Allen Fieldhouse against North Carolina. That was very shocking to me. So I'm very curious to see how. I think you're going to get a full effort from Bill Self squad here today, especially defensively. Duke, Kentucky. If you watched the show last night, you already know my feelings. Andy, have you changed your mind, or did I convince you to bet Kentucky?
No, I would still be on Duke. I haven't bet it yet, and I might actually do it now because I think there's a boost on DraftKings.
Please do.
I like Duke here. So without risk of sounding like a hypocrite, because both of them have played nobody. They've both played nobody, right? I think Duke has played Army and Maine. Kentucky played Bucknell and who was it?
Wright State.
Who was it? Wright State.
Yeah,
They opened right. They both played nobody. They've both looked really good playing nobody. I just think Duke's quicker. They've got more. I just think they have more talent, and I think that's going to have them here. I think Kentucky, a lot of these guys, they're all veteran. Some of them are veterans that are now coming into a new system and playing together, have proven success. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are young guys that are from the recruiting from high school, but some of them are proven NCAA talented guys. Creases
all 5 starters, fifth years or better.
So they're all guys who have had success elsewhere and now have to fit into a new role. A lot of the Duke guys are young guys. They're all in this system. This system was built for these individuals. So I think that plays into it. They're a little bit more together than Kentucky probably is so far, because a lot of them are unproven. And obviously their offense is going to run through Cooper Flagg. That's no question. They have the most talented player in the country. But they've had other pieces as well that have helped them. They also have Mason Gillis coming off the bench, which is really, really good.
He's a stud.
That's a sick player to have as like more.
That's a national. Keep in mind, guys, that's a national champion coming off your bench that played a pivotal role for not a national championship, a national champion running.
He wasn't quite national champion.
Yeah, my bad.
He had to run into Donovan.
That's my bad. I got excited.
Yeah,
but he's very, very good, especially coming off the bench.
Yeah, systematically, I just think Duke's in a better place. Not saying Kentucky's in a bad place. I think Kentucky's going to be really, really good. I think early on in these types of games, I think until SEC play, when they're playing good teams, I think they might struggle a little bit. Look, you can beat the crap out of Bucknell and Wright State, but this is obviously a huge step up for both of them. But I just think Duke's in a better position because they're younger. They haven't had that success yet. So these guys are in a system that is built around them. So I just think Shire's had that opportunity. Shire also had all these guys recruited like a year ago. So he was probably building this system a year ago. I really just think this is a good spot for Duke overall. A good matchup for him.
Could not disagree anymore. But in all seriousness, Andy's completely right about this Kentucky team. They're a new team all over. That's nothing new for this Kentucky team. Obviously, it's a new coach, but I think that Mark Pope is one of the best coaches in the country. I really do. I think that what he's been able to do with BYU, and now he's going to come here to Kentucky. Kentucky scored 100 points in both of their first 2 games as well. I think Duke had 96 in one, but might as well just call it 100, make it easy. But I don't think that Kobe Bray is going to shoot the lights out for the rest of the year, but I do think that he's one of the top 5 shooters in the country. I think Amari Williams is a top 5 rebounder in the country. You add in veterans like Kirk Kriisa as well. Kentucky doesn't have an All-American like Cooper Flagg, but they have a whole bunch of 5th-year guys that know what they're doing. Duke is a very young team. There's no question that they're very good, but guys like Caleb Foster, he's a defensive liability to me. He's going to look good offensively, but defensively, I think that he's a liability. And to be honest with you guys, I don't even know if John Shire is a good coach. I know that he can recruit because he's got Duke across his chest. But I asked Andy this last night on the show, and he agreed with me. If you could have your head coach as Mark Pope or Shire, you're going to take Mark Pope if you want to just win basketball games. I'm just saying. So I think I have a coaching advantage. I think that we have more depth on Kentucky. So if anybody gets into foul trouble or is having an off night, there's other guys to pick them up. I just feel like 5.5, or I got it at 6.5, but whatever it is a lot to lay for a Duke team on a neutral that hasn't really shown me much yet. So obviously, like Andy said, the same thing. Both of these teams played nobodies. They both scored 100 points in both of their games. So it's really tomato. I'm really high on Kentucky this year. I really suck in my job, so we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Not a word, Beaver.
So those are our 4 college games for today. We had 2 comments being asked. We had a comment from B. Felly regarding the league, asking, does that start today or tomorrow? The league for the Discord and everything, that will be beginning tomorrow, so don't have to worry about rushing to get picks in. That will begin tomorrow. And then I forgot who it was Tinker, I believe. Robert Tinker Woolston. He said, where's my second trophy? That's going to be getting mailed out Tuesday, so all trophies will be getting mailed out next Tuesday. Regarding a community parlay, I don't think Toast was in here at the beginning of the episode to keep track of the teams, but what we will do, we'll do a compromise right now. We'll do a community top bet for the 4 college basketball games. Let's hit the song.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right,
I just
now
want to
let me set up a
apologize
poll.
really quickly. Sorry, Beaver. I told you that I would do that, and I didn't, and you know why? Because I didn't come in because I didn't want there to be a whole bunch of people in here. I wrote it down. It won't happen again. I apologize. That's on me, guys.
Just tell that to HR, because that's really who's gonna. That's really who's gonna be hearing about it. Rob in HR.
Well, Rob works for me. I'm the head of HR in this company, so I'll make sure it gets up the ladder. I promise.
Things are really going to shit ever since we reached 100K.
I know, dude.
Kyle's just going off.
Kyle's already out of the house. Like, what are we doing?
I know.
We have a live
Kyle's
show to
out
ourselves.
of the house. He just leaves the place now. All right.
Andy's buying fake backdrops so we can act like he lives in a high rise.
I know.
This is control here.
He thinks this is like, he thinks he's in an episode of Suits. He gets like the city background. Like, what the hell is this?
You know what? Saturday for the live show, I'll come in a full suit.
All right, so we got the 4 options. We got the Duke, Kansas, Baylor, and Cuse, all favorites here. So very sharp, guys. And we'll pick which favorite will be our community top bet today.
I was curious, and I don't know if you looked at it, Toast. The Stanford Northern Arizona game. Did you look at that at all? That one.
I don't know what to think of Stanford, and I just didn't. I mean, I'm not. There's no way in hell I'm laying 18. What is it? 18.5, 20.
They are. It is. Not only is it a huge size advantage, which obviously it's going to happen in those games. Northern Arizona played 2, not 1, but 2 non-D1 schools, so they haven't played anybody yet. Stanford actually played a pretty decent Denver team, and Cal State Fullerton.
Andy, Denver is one of the worst teams in the country. Get out of here. Not to mention the fact that Stanford is slow as shit.
In the first half.
So for them, I'm just saying they're slow as shit. For them to score, I'm not saying that they wouldn't cover. I'm just saying there's no way in hell my money's going on.
I think Stanford still wound up covering that game, but yeah, it's also like a huge. Stanford has a 7'2" kid who's averaging 15 rebounds a game so far in the first 2, so they're gonna have a lot of rebounds. They're gonna out rebound them a lot. So I might take Stanford.
I'm gonna give it a few more seconds here, but it's looking like Duke minus 5.5 is gonna be the community top bet.
Damn.
Not smart, boys. Not smart. No.
Not smart. Not smart.
That's a 3-0 St. Joe's. Cash that.
Oh my god.
All right, I'm ending the poll there, boys. Boys and girls. Hey, don't want to discriminate. We got the community top bet, Duke minus 5.5 for all those who came and watched today. Have a blessed day. Stay goated. You know what the deal is. We'll see you.